There we go.
Welcome, everybody, to the brand new podcast, Unstable. I am Jeff Steckel, aka Big Stack. You might know me from this AFC South show on Curtis Podcast Network. So while you're jamming on the like and subscribe button, go and do the same over there. Got my co-host Alex. I'm gonna butcher your last name if I try to say it, but got the co-host Alex. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm co-host Alex Voyage, and I've made some appearances on Curtis's show. And I'm the owner or founder and president of Chaotically Intolerant Multimedia Productions LLC. I know that's a big handful or a mouthful. You can just call it Chaotically Intolerant. But I'm really excited to do this. We're gonna be your co-hosts, and hopefully we'll bring on some Colts personalities, some other Colts fans out there. But I'm just excited to talk straight Colts.
For sure, man. We're gonna cover basically everything we can, good, bad, ugly. Um, everything Colts. I had a pretty rough ending to 2023. You filled in quite a bit on there, so I really appreciate it. It's awesome having you on this.
Yeah.
So, like, subscribe, goal, kind of do a little housekeeping, I guess. Yeah, shoot for 1,000, man. No, I'm kidding. Keep it modest for right now. I guess we'll shoot for 15 of each. Should be easy to hit. But yeah, while you're doing that, head over to the AFC South show, give it a like and sub, and head over to Chaotically Intolerant and do the same. We're going to cover the Pittman tagging. We're going to go look at the Colts pending free agents, and I guess current free agents that we'd like to see come to Indianapolis. We know it's Chris Ballard, and you can be a little stingy about that, but I feel like this might be a year that changes. Hopefully, at least a little bit.
Yeah, I guess when I think about the Colts this year, I would say this feels like the year that they're in a weird spot, in my opinion, because Richardson's really young. Like, you would think the all-in year comes year 4 or 5, when a quarterback really cements himself. Like, honestly, if you think about like Lamar Jackson, like those first couple years, I mean, obviously 19 they were really good, but they lost in the playoffs and Jackson was young, so it was like, okay, they have time. And like this year, it kind of feels like they have to go all in. Like, you can't really, because running backs are their ages, like they age like presidents, right? Like, remember Obama, his first presidency versus even after year 4, it was like,
now
holy
he looks
shit,
like
this
me.
guy's old. But they age like presidents, and a lot of our guys, those core guys on the defense, are getting old. Like, they really are. And I think they're in that weird spot where if they can just get Anthony Richardson to not turn the ball over, which shockingly in his 4 games, he didn't turn the ball over that much, which is especially from a guy who was considered a raw talent, didn't turn it over. He had that one interception against LA when he tried to force one in on like trying to win the game. Not LA,
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, yeah, it was. And the corner did a good job, kind of baited him on that too. So
yeah, but it's a weird situation. I really hope they'll finally buy in. It felt like with Wentz. I mean, what to say about Wentz? What to say about Matt Ryan? Like, it kind of felt like, hey, they should have bought in, but
man, move past it.
Yeah, we're past it. I still can't move past Andrew Luck, though. I really can't.
Oh, it's still a rough spot, man.
That's still hard. And so many Colts fans get so salty when you bring up Andrew Luck. Whenever you do, they're like, move on, man, move on. It's like, how many times do we talk about a player and think, what if he was here? What if he was here? Why is Andrew Luck like the one where it's like, oh, stop doing that. Stop doing that. Let us dream. Let us dream.
Like that year with Carson Wentz and with Matt Ryan, it could have been so much better. It's just whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah. Like I'm not mad at him. I get why you did it.
Yeah.
I guess we'll look at the Pittman tagging. What do you think about it?
It feels well. We haven't used the franchise tag, I think, since 2013, which we used on Pat McAfee. Hilarious. Another Colt that retired too soon.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't used it since then, which I feel like is kind of rare. I think a lot of teams really do take advantage of that. So that's good. It shows good locker room culture. And I think it's not a negative way. I think when the franchise tag is thrown around a lot, when they say that, it's seen as a negative thing. But this isn't. This is just buying the Colts and Michael Pittman Jr. time to negotiate. Pittman wants to stay. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he does deserve the money. I think he deserves to get paid. The city loves him. It's not like he's hated in the city. And I think we should be investing in our hometown guys because I'm a Red Sox fan, as you can tell. The Boston Red Sox don't do a good job. They didn't invest in Mookie Betts. They didn't invest in Xander Bogaerts, and look where we're at. I mean, we just invested in Brian Bayo, young pitcher, but it's like, congrats, you did what you should have done, right? I'm not going to applaud teams for doing what they should do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll applaud the Colts when they sign a big free agent. I'm not going to applaud the Colts when they lock down a hometown guy, right? You didn't applaud him when they locked down Andrew Luck for that massive contract, which he deserved. So I'm not going to applaud them when they do that, but I'm happy to see that the teams are really working together to do it. Plus, $21 million is it's a lot of money for a
It puts him
franchise
in like the
tag. I
top
mean, good
five, man.
lord.
It makes him one of the higher paid receivers.
Yeah. What do you think?
I I would like to have done like I kind of ironed out the contract and just gotten it out of the way. I mean, there's some underlying, um, you know, whatever when it comes with that non-exclusive tag. Like he can negotiate with other teams, but I don't think any like, and it's not for a lack of talent with Pittman. Why teams won't bother with it? Because if he agrees to it, then they also have to like the Colts can match, and it will cost him 2 first-round picks if he like. I just don't see any team really taking the time to do that. I think this kind of solidifies that he's going to be a Colt, this year, and yeah, they're gonna. I think they're going to hammer out a deal here pretty soon. So
Yeah.
I
I
think
think
he'll be
he's
with the Colts.
I think he's the most Colt wide receiver possible because a lot of number one wide receivers, you think about them, they're a lot more explosive. Tyreek Hill, obviously like the most explosive player in the NFL. I'm not comparing him to Tyreek. Tyreek is a different level, or AJ Brown or something like that. Pittman's just consistent. And it's hilarious because that
very
just feels like the most Colts thing to do is just have a consistent wide receiver that will get you 10 catches for 10 yards and a touchdown, or 10 yards per
yeah.
catch. He's going to get 100 yards, but it's not going to be big. It's not going to be sexy, but sometimes that's all you want. You want a
Yeah,
consistent guy that's is going to go out there and hold on to the football, right? And you have a guy like Josh Downs. I think he could be a little bit more of an explosive underneath type of guy. Like you could see him break more off for longer gains because he's got the speed and he's smaller. More of like a Tyreek Hill, or not a Tyreek Hill, T.Y. Hilton.
for sure. Yeah, he's that guy. There was that catch that he had where the guy's like shoving his face mask, and it like
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't come across as that really aggressive playmaker, but he is. He fights for
Yeah.
that extra yard or two for the first down. Very very sure-handed. He's not running streaks. He's not making those huge plays, those whatever downfield, but he's gonna move the chains. He's gonna get those
Mm-hmm.
catches. And this whole time, like what is it? Harrison, Wayne, and Clark were the only three Colt, I guess receivers to get 100 receptions, 1,000 yards. I think he's the fourth Colt to do it. That says a lot about kind of where the Colts have been. He's had really inconsistent quarterback playing and still got into that category.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is something that they had to do. They had to lock him down.
Yeah, and I think I hate to like quote crap on T.Y. Hilton because I love T.Y. Hilton as a wide receiver, but
Yeah.
and he was getting older, but we did see what he really was when Andrew Luck wasn't there, and I think obviously he was talented, but I mean, would we look at him as fondly, as we do if Andrew wasn't there? I mean, there's something to that, great quarterbacks make great receivers. Like you look
Mhm.
at the Patriots, all those receivers that, would leave and then come back. It's Brady. Like Brady makes them, he throws it in the right
Yeah.
places, and I think Andrew Luck would too. Like you see guys like oh my god, I can't remember. I whenever I think of his name, I always think of Paris Campbell, but it's not Paris Campbell.
Don't
Um,
even.
Zach Pascal. Think of Zach
Why'd
Pascal.
you bring up Paris
Um,
Campbell? Jesus Christ.
I don't know why I thought about Paris Campbell.
That pick makes me
Let me
so
just look up
angry, and
the.
it's still.
I believed in Paris Campbell for a long, long time. I
Oh
really
man,
did.
that pick pissed me off.
Let me look up at their roster. Okay. Um, no, not that year. Let me see. There's somebody that I'm thinking of, like either like that 2012, 2013 team. Um, oh, I mean, Donnie Avery, one of those guys. I think he had an okay
Ooh.
year with us. Remember Donnie Avery? I love bringing up
Yeah,
old Colts
vaguely.
wide
Yeah,
receivers. Those like
yeah.
old names. Levon Brazil. Remember Levon Brazil?
Oh my god, yeah. Wait,
Let me pull up 2014. That's probably the best year, I think.
it's like I know what you're talking
Which
about. They, like when Peyton Manning went to
Moncrief.
Denver.
Moncrief. Dante
Oh, I
Moncrief.
love Moncrief. I did the chant so many times. Feed Moncrief. He didn't do a whole lot. uh, but yeah, like Peyton Manning when he went to Denver, like Demaryius Thomas, still big physical, really good receiver. But
Yeah.
beyond that, they weren't really anybody before. They went on and didn't do much after. So like you were saying, it's just great quarterbacks can make
Mhm.
receivers look good to great.
And RIP
So
to Demarius
I'll 100%
Thomas.
agree with that. Yeah,
But
yeah, for sure.
he
That
even
was
agreed.
horrible.
That's why he loved Peyton so much. That's why wide receivers love their quarterbacks because they make
Oh yeah,
them that. Like they obviously he was a good talent in Denver, but Peyton made him a champion. Peyton made him a league like a weapon that people would really point to.
and that's kind of the role that they need for Pittman. Like right now, like you said, Anthony Richardson's young, and he needs those sure hands. He needs those targets. He needs as
Mhm.
many weapons as possible. So this
And
is a move that they had to make.
yeah, and I guess I don't want to get too into free agency, but we might be losing Minshew, which is sad. I love Minshew. A lot of Colts fans are saying like, "Oh, good riddance." I love him. He's awesome.
I'm
He's
not
great
gonna
to
be
have in
mean
the
like
locker
that.
room. He's
Yeah,
he's great to have in the
he's
locker
a
room. He's a
fun
great
dude. Like
locker
he's
room
got a
guy.
great personality.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
I think that's what you need. But I would love to see like Jameis Winston, a veteran quarterback, come in and he's a gunslinger too. Like I think I would rather have Richardson be more of a gunslinger. Like I don't understand the desire to have him run a design run. Like there's just no reason to do that when he has the cannon that he has. The legs should be to extend the play, and that's it.
yeah.
It should be because obviously we saw with Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz to an extent. Like Matt Ryan would go down immediately. Couldn't do shit. Philip
He
Rivers
did have that
down
one
immediately.
50-yard run.
Yes, the
Matty Wheels,
150
baby.
yarder.
That was a fun play.
Besides that, yeah, the
It was
150
terrible.
yard run. That reminds me of the Peyton Manning like 50-yard run against Oakland, and then he slides.
Wasn't that? Didn't he have that like? I want the time clock for that what was that kind of naked bootleg that he ran, that fake run, and he just trotted down the side.
Oh, against
Like, what was his
Dallas
40 time on?
when he was in
I
Denver.
think so.
Yeah,
God damn! It took him like a half an hour to run 10 yards. Oh, it was fun though.
yeah. But when I mean you look at the history of the Colts past Andrew Luck, you don't have that super mobile like just play extender. I don't want the Lamar Jackson. Like Lamar Jackson is such a special talent when it comes to his elusiveness where he's not taking violent hits. He knows how to not take violent hits. And I think that's so rare. Like Michael Vick, say what you want, he's a great player, not great with dogs, but he didn't last,
Fun of
he didn't
animals, but
last as long as you wanted him to.
Jesus.
He didn't last as long, and I mean, say what you want about him and his the longevity due to the jail time, but we saw what he was. We saw what he was, and he was great in Madden, great for a few years. But I want a 20-year quarterback that, yes, he's able to extend the play, but there's a reason that we have Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman. Like they are there to run that option, right? And if you do want to
For sure.
design runs, run him to the outsides, right? Run him towards the sideline so he can run out of bounds. Look at how Patrick Mahomes runs the ball. They run him to the
Yeah,
outside
yeah.
when they do that, and they rarely do it.
I don't mind him running. It's just be a little more selective in when you do it. And there was like when he hurt his shoulder. I mean, he got tackled from behind. That could have happened to anybody. And when he ran into the ends, like me and Curtis had this kind of argument of, will you start Minshew and let him sit behind him? Like he needed to start, but he might have also needed to get hurt.
Yeah.
Like I don't mean to, I want him to get injured, but kind of needed that play time and then kind of learned that lesson. Like, hey, you're not going to run through these linebackers. You're not going to do it. You
Yeah.
pick your spots, learn to
This isn't
slide.
college. You're not playing FAU.
Yeah, you're not like you're a big dude, but you're not going to run through these guys.
Yeah.
And he has a cannon. Like I've seen it. Like there's that one highlight that he had. I think it was in practice. Like he was kind of running backwards and jumped off of both feet and launched it downfield. Like it was a fucking amazing throw. Like he's got a cannon. Like he was completing 60% of his passes, which was
Yeah.
a good step up from college. I mean, you're in the pros and he had a better completion percentage in college. Like just have a little more faith in his arm.
And the other thing
I'll
people aren't
agree with that.
talking about is his poise. Like, he's not standing in the pocket and he looks scared. He's standing there and he's gonna take a shot, but he's gonna get the ball out. And he's like
Mhm.
straight up the entire time. He's not afraid. Like, I mean, the
No.
perfect example you're talking about his arm, Aaron Donald. Remember when Aaron Donald leveled him?
Oh
Like
God, he
as
got
he's wrapped
smashed
up,
on that one.
he
He still hit it.
just flicks it. He just fucking flicks it and it's on a rope, like 20-yard rope. It's like, dude, this guy,
Such a
why are
great
you even
pass,
running
man.
him? Why ever
Yeah.
design a run for this guy? You don't need to.
And again, like against that game against the Texans, they had some great design, and it was just he sold it. He did his thing. Like no one came even close to touching him. They just have to do it more selectively, I think.
Yeah,
But
and when I hear the because you said about the shoulder injury, I'll say yes, that was unlucky, but at the same time, like he was hurt. He had some sort of injury in what, 3 of the 4? Was it 3 of the 4? So, like it just get like when I hear like, "Oh, it's unlucky," like, yes, that was an unlucky injury, but when it's 3 out of 4, that's worrying. Like, that is even if he leaves
yeah,
for 1 play, it's like, that is nerve-wracking. You don't want your guy going out 3 out of 4 games at all.
yeah, no. So like I said, maybe it was just kind of a lesson he needed to learn. Like
Yeah, it's, they need to bring in the slip and slide like
tough
they
love
did with
sometimes,
Luck.
man. Bring in the baseball guy, teach him how to slide.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna move on. Look at Colts pending free agents. I got a list pulled up. I'll just run down the list. I guess we'll give our top three of who we
Mhm.
think the Colts must keep. I'll just kind of run it down. We got Grover Stewart, Kenny Moore, Taven Bryan, Gardner Minshew, Rigoberto Sanchez, Taekwon Lewis, Isaiah McKenzie, Jake Martin, Julian Blackman, Zach Moss, Jannard Avery, Henry Black, Danny Piner, sorry, and Tony Brown. So of those, who do you think are the top three that we need to keep and why?
Um, well, on the trenches, right? The trenches are, to me, the most important part of the football team. They're the anchor. Grover Stewart was big in the run game. So Grover is like my number one. He has to stay. Like, you have to keep him. You can't lose him. Um, there's so many guys. Like, it's just so hard to like give up 3 of them because, man, this is tough. I feel like you have to keep Kenny Moore. He really had a revival this year. You know, that 2022 season, that was a really tough year for him, and to see him
Yeah,
come back out and be just as locked down as he was, and I think the 2 pick 6 game was really big for him, just the recognition.
that
But
was great.
the real Colts fans knew he was playing really well before that. Um, and then I'm between Rigoberto Sanchez because special teams are a lot more important than I think people really give him credit for. Um, or Julian Blackman. Danny Pinter's really looking sexy to me too. Um, Tony Brown too, like big. He was pretty good on special teams. I mean, obviously he got toasted against the Saints. Everyone was giving him shit for that, but it's not our fault. It's not his fault. Our depth was horrible. Like, he's a great special teamer, not the best cornerback. Um,
That's why he
I'm
doesn't
gonna
make my
say
grade.
let's go with let's stay on the defensive side. I want to go with Julian Blackman. He's young. He's 25. You can get him for 1.5 or that was his AAV for 2023. I wonder what the market value is. It can't be much more. He's had a lot of injury issues,
Yeah.
but I want to give him. I want to put the faith in him, and I'll say Julian Blackmon. Although Rigoberto Sanchez is going to be hard to not keep.
Yeah, it's really weird because as I was thinking about this list, I was going over this. My 1 and 2 are the exact same. Grover Stewart, Kenny. You don't want one of the biggest, brightest spots, especially on defense, was their front seven, and that is
Mm-hmm.
not something I want to break up. When Grover was out, he like our rush yards allowed skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Like he's one of the best run stuffers in the NFL, and he has been for the last couple of years. So I don't want to break that up. Full agreement. Kenny Moore, I think he's one of the best slot corners in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So and everything you said, I was going to say myself, and I'm like, yeah, he kind of had a great resurgence this year, and he, we didn't rehearse any of this. I'm just saying, like we're on the same page. Um, but I'm going to go kind of a different way. It was a um, close, close battle between Blackman and I was going to say Jannard Avery. Um, I think I'm going with Avery. He 8.5 sacks. He's still, relatively young. I like Blackman
Yeah.
too, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just I want to keep that front seven as intact as possible. Even in
Yeah.
rotational, Ibukum was great. Um, Buckner, Jesus, I don't know why I couldn't say the name.
Buckner. Yeah.
Buckner, he floated around the line. He wasn't a strict. He was whatever. He disrupt. They rotated so many pieces around, and I think Avery was a great part of that. I don't want to keep that intact.
Yeah.
I think
The only reason I went with the strong with Blackmon there is obviously like I think every Colts fan knows our get home rate was really good, but our blitzing rate was really bad. And
he
some
didn't even call.
people justify that. Yeah. They justify that by saying, well, our secondary was so bad. And I say, our secondary was bad either way. Like us not blitzing wasn't helping. Like it didn't do anything. Our secondary was so horrible. We It didn't
I,
matter. I was like, you know what? Fucking just beat us. Get the ball out quicker. I would rather you beat us getting the ball out quickly.
I don't want to turn this into the shit on Curtis podcast, but I had I had the same argument, and I'm like, look, if our secondary, like we've got, Jalen Jones, what was he, a sixth round, seventh round, sixth round?
I think he was a sixth rounder.
I think he was a sixth rounder because we picked up Rush, I think, in the fifth. I can't, and then we didn't even keep him. But it was Jalen Jones, the rookie. It was Juju Brents, who was hurt a good part of the year. Like our secondary, was not. Juju Brents didn't get the snaps that he needed. His first game was great. He forced that fumble. He kind of turned the tide in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I love Juju Brents.
Yeah,
Jalen Jones, I think he needs some work, but to
he was a
crack the,
seventh
the
round
starting
pick.
roster from where he was a seventh round pick. Thank you. To crack the roster, play the way I think he played well. I mean, well enough, way way past the seventh round expectation. So
Yeah,
I kind of like where the secondary is, but you got to give them help. And when your front seven, when you're only bringing the four, isn't getting home, all you're doing is killing your young corners.
yeah,
They're gonna beat us anyway, like you said. Bring the blitz. Like we blitzed the shit out of Lamar Jackson, and then we just didn't do it anymore.
yeah.
It's like it was frustrating, but it's like if they're gonna beat us fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I
And I'm
completely agree with that.
yeah. When we look at the offense, because some people think, oh, you have to like Zach Moss is one of those guys where it's like, do you want to like you obviously want to resign Moss? You have two number one running backs. Like Moss is gonna go somewhere and be a number one back. Like it's just
And
what it is. But
if
our
if he
offense,
if he wants to stay, I'd be okay with him. But he probably is gonna want that. I mean, he's not gonna get like Jonathan Taylor money,
yeah,
but he's probably going to want that middle top tier pay, and it's just we're not going to allocate that in the two running backs. If he takes a little bit of a discount and stays, keep him.
yeah.
I think he's going to go to another team and try to be the premier back.
Yeah, like it felt like our offense there. I mean, obviously there are pieces you have to address, but that wasn't our problem this year at all. Like there were points where like in that like New England Carolina, like that stretch of games, our offense was bad, and people were like, "Oh
Yeah,
no, it's blah, like we put up 27 against Carolina." I was like, "Well, two of those were pick sixes, so don't even count that."
yeah.
Like,
We
so
don't have those pick
it's
sixes. It was not a great looking game.
yeah, that was horrible. That was a boring game.
Yeah,
That was so
yeah.
bad. But I just feel like the defense really has to be revamped, and you can keep those centerpieces, but you have to go out and really get some guys. Like I feel like they need to go out and get Snead. Like that is such a big piece to the secondary. You need like that leadership out
The
in the secondary.
Chiefs tagged him, didn't
Chiefs
they?
L'Jarius Snead.
Yeah, I thought they tagged him.
He there was a non-exclusive tag, so they did
You
give
want to
him the
get
opportunity to seek a trade. I think because
you
they're
want to
not going to
give
be able to keep.
you'd want to give two first for him though.
If we're going all in, I'll do it. Like I'll
Mm,
be perfectly fine if we go all in and go and get him. Like because they have to make that commitment. They have to say, hey, listen, we're gonna try and win. Like we want to win this year and next year. Like these are those 2 years, and Richardson is young. I don't. There's no right answer, I guess. I mean, really, yeah.
yeah,
I would really
uh,
like Snead. I'll give up whatever for him. He's a monster.
because and I mean, now that you brought it up, I was kind of opposed to it, but now I was looking at the free agent list, and it's like, man, there is not a lot of depth in free agency at corner, and
Yeah.
I don't like everyone keeps saying it, in the draft we need to take a corner. I'm like, yeah, maybe late if there's some, whatever, but we need to put more pieces around around Richardson. Like we need to make sure he's got the protection. Quentin Nelson isn't getting any younger. Kelly isn't getting any younger. I love Ryman at left tackle. I think he started off really good and then had a great 23 campaign. But
Mhm.
what happens if Quentin Nelson, knock on wood, tears his Achilles week one? Like, who are we really going to plug in to try and replace Nelson?
Yeah.
It's just you can't. So we need to start. I thinking about that. Definitely, I don't want to just say that Alec Pierce is the number two. Again, there's been inconsistent quarterback play since he got drafted, but there's also been times where he hasn't come down with a contested catch. His hands were on the ball. He hasn't gotten a lot of separation, and I think he ran the most, like, what is it, streaks in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, he was literally the guy that's like, just run straight, dude. It didn't show a whole
And
lot of.
when he did get the ball thrown to him, he would, his size is so scary. Like if he could just hold on to the fucking ball more,
Yeah.
that would
So,
really help. I mean, because yeah, I feel like Josh Downs kind of already stole his spot in my
mhm,
eyes as the number two. Like Downs had a fantastic year, and nobody
yeah.
talked about it at all.
So if anything, I would like to see like let's just say that they trade for Snead, they give away the two first picks. I would like to see them with their, I guess, third round pick, or if they don't, then their first round. I would like to see that go to receiver. I would like to kind of put that pressure on Alec Pierce. Worst case, he doesn't step up and he gets beat up by someone better, or he steps up and beats out the first round rookie. So
Yeah,
I think it's kind of a win-win to have that competition. I just don't want them to go into camp and be like, yeah, he's our number two again,
yeah.
without adding something.
I'm looking at free agent wide receivers right now. Calvin Ridley's out there, Marquise Brown. I would love to see like a Gabe Davis because
Yeah,
he's a deep threat. He is a deep threat. Darnell Mooney, no. Tyler Boyd just got tagged. No, did he?
yeah.
No, T. Higgins got tagged.
Jenkins got
Sorry.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like even
Um,
like Calvin Ridley, like if he couldn't, you know, Isaiah was, on AFC South show was so hyped about Calvin Ridley, and he never. There's some good games in there, but he never really amounted to that one that they thought he was going to be. I just
no.
pass.
Yeah. Marquise Brown,
But yeah, like you
pass.
said, Gabe Davis is young. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah, he's gonna be
But again,
25.
Tyler Boyd, man, I don't care. Michael Thomas has had his injuries, but there
Oh
might be a little
yeah,
bit
they're gonna
left there.
cut him.
There might be a
They're
little bit
trying to
left
get
there,
out
man.
of cap hell.
Yeah, they're like, what are they, like 60 under?
They've been
That's
60
some
under like the
nonsense
last
number.
8 years. Seriously, it's a ridiculous number.
Dude, I saw a fan comment, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we've been through this, and we're still relevant." I'm like, you haven't been to the playoffs in 4 years, and you're 60 million over the cap. That is a terrible position to be in.
And I actually put a video out
But
about this recently. I was talking about Sean Payton because it was like the um, Russell Wilson getting cut. It was a quick Instagram video, and I was like, yeah, like we shouldn't be shocked about dysfunction from a Sean Payton led team because of Bountygate, because of blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, and he didn't win. He only won one Super Bowl with Drew Brees as his quarterback. Like Drew Brees he is so like he does not get the love he deserves. Just how good and like reliable of a quarterback he was. He should have won like 2 or 3 at least. And the
I mean, I
comments were immediately
technically
like,
you could
"Oh,
say
he's
the
a
same thing
Colts
about
fan."
Peyton Manning here, though.
That's true. But he was like, "Oh, he's a Colts
He
fan.
shouldn't
He's
go
salty
anymore.
about." I was like, "I'm not I just in the video I called Drew Brees good. I was like, "I'm not salty. I think Sean Payton's a bad guy and he underachieved in New Orleans."
Yeah, yeah. I love Dungy too, but yeah, he should have won more.
No, they definitely underachieved. Those Colts
Yeah,
teams underachieved. There's no reason they shouldn't have won like at least 2 or 3.
for sure. And and kind of back on those trenches again. I know he's going to be expensive, but like you said, if we're going all in, I would love to see Chris Jones.
He's gonna be
I
really,
know it might be
really, really,
going to be
really
really
expensive.
pricey, but mm,
Yeah. He's gonna be a lot.
he's going to be expensive.
It's gonna be really
But
hard to keep him or to get him here with and I just like I think when you were talking about the line, like I'm fine. Like just sign Grove, keep that line pretty much intact. I'm like perfectly fine. Obviously, I'd love to have Chris Jones and DeForest Buckner on the same line. Like, can you imagine that?
like,
That's
and then the
insanity.
rotational pieces, fuck, it would be so much fun. But it
Chris
probably isn't
Jones
going to happen.
literally won the Super Bowl for the Chiefs this year when he was left on block against Brock Purdy. Like that was literally the winning moment. But
Yeah,
there's just no like that is kind of
I
out the
don't see
window.
Ballard going out and doing that.
I
If he
wouldn't blame
does it,
him. I wouldn't be like, yeah, you're cheap if he didn't go and get him. Like that's a
yeah,
lot. I would much
he's going
rather
to be
see
fine.
them beef up the secondary than go for that.
But he's probably going to go to somewhere that he's not going to make an impact. Like he's going to go like Commanders or like he'll be a
Well,
big piece
it's
for him, but he's not going to be able to do shit for him because they don't have
yeah.
anything else. But
If Snead goes though, because they did tag him, and if he goes, because I have a feeling because they can't keep both of them, it's going to be really hard to keep both of them. And after what they went through with Jones last year and the sitting out and all that shit, like they're not going to want to go through that again. So I think if somebody does go out and get Snead, they're gonna give Jones all the money in the world. They're gonna be like, "You're here for life. You're not gonna leave us now."
yeah, I'd agree with that. If he hits the market, it's going to be some team that way overpays.
Yeah,
He probably still has some productive years left, but yeah, like you
he
said, we
definitely has
can't
a couple. He's what 28,
30.
30? Oh my god. Oh, 29. He'll
He's getting
probably
up
be
there.
30 by the new year. So yeah,
Let's see who
here's a wide receiver. For I think he's Indianapolis native Curtis Samuel. He's gonna be a free agent. Or am I thinking of someone else? Oh no, Brooklyn. He's from
I know
Brooklyn.
a
I'm
lot of
thinking
people in
of
Cold Nation are talking. What's his name? I don't know why it's slipping my mind. He's on the Commanders. What's his name?
yeah.
He's another Colt. They keep talking about trading for him. I can't remember his name.
Commanders. Let's just see. Commanders roster. McLaurin.
Yeah, that's the one they keep talking about.
I
Like,
want to say he had the game winner against us 2 years when we played
probably,
them.
probably.
When we gave up when we let Taylor Heineke tear us up.
Mm,
2 years in a row,
mm.
actually, he tore us up. Atlanta and Washington.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it would be a lot of fun to see Barkley and Taylor together, but that's going to be too top money.
Oh no, that's not
Everyone
happening.
pegged
No
Barkley
matter.
going to Houston.
They're saying Chicago too for him. I think it'd be, I mean, you might as well, right? Chicago's never had an offense like in their entire. I feel like in the entire history of the Chicago Bears, they have not had a modern offense. They're like Jim McMahon was an average quarterback, and their defense was so good in '85. They didn't need an offense. Jay Cutler is literally the greatest quarterback in Bears history.
That's rough.
Yeah.
He wasn't bad.
No, he wasn't bad, but like when you think about greatest quarterback in franchise history for teams, like you're thinking Tom Brady for the Patriots, you're thinking Peyton Manning for the Colts. I mean, maybe Johnny Unitas if you're old school. You're thinking, I mean, who else? What's his name? Who won the Super Bowl for the Commanders? He was the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. I can't remember his name, but he was like probably one of the top guys. And it's like Jay Cutler is your top quarterback.
And I'm just looking at this. So if they don't, I think they will, but if they don't re-sign Blackman, I wouldn't mind Xavier McKinney. Still pretty young.
Yeah. I think they need to. It's tough because I want them to go out and get a veteran guy because I think that's necessary for really winning, like a winning locker room. But you want to lock up some young guy too. So I wouldn't mind like maybe go out and get a young guy and get two, get a young and an old guy, make them compete.
And again, that's why I wouldn't mind Gilmore coming back. I mean, he's older, but he can. I mean, he knows the offense. He bring him back on another year deal. He's been doing it for the last few years. So
yeah,
I wouldn't mind him coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was bad blood between us and him, and when he went to Dallas.
I think it was a dysfunctional locker room at the time. It was that team was so bad too.
Yeah, I think like you said, this and next year might be kind of those double down, all in. We need to. You're not going to win any awards for having the most salary cap.
Yeah.
This might be.
Well, I think I mentioned this. I think I mentioned this with Curtis on our show. I can't remember, but we were talking about there's a cycle going on now, right? With the AFC South. It was, what was it? The Titans were expected to win the AFC South, and then the Jags came in, overtook them, won in the last week. This year, it was Houston that did it to Jacksonville. I think the cycle is going to be us next year. We're a little bit less expected. Like Houston is now like, oh, they're definitely going to win. I think people are kind of talking about Houston already having it wrapped up, which is like crazy to me. Like, did we forget about Anthony Richardson? Come on, what are we doing here? So I think that might happen, and then I'm just worried because it feels like
down to the last week. I just lock that shit up in week 15 or something.
Well, and the problem is I've noticed with the Colts is every year we have like an okay year. Like the Wentz year was like, okay, it was pretty good. Like this team is a good football team. They play good football down the stretch. We're going to give them some primetime games. They finished like higher in the division. So they're going to play the tougher teams. And then we suck. And then we just it's back and forth. Like that's what happened this year. And then they're going to say, okay, this team, they deserve some primetime games. They deserve like a Monday, a Sunday, a Thursday. The only good thing is we finished third in the division, technically. So we're still going to have a pretty easy schedule as expected. Now, strength of schedule doesn't matter until the end of the year. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't know why people obsess over it at the beginning of the year.
Players float around so much.
It's the most useless stat ever at the beginning of the year. It's a good barometer on what your team really was. Like I was talking about the 2014, or I saw a post about the 2014 Colts, and it was like, oh, these teams, they thought they were going to make it back because they were talking about the Lions, and everyone's been like, oh, the Lions are going to be back. Lions are going to be back. And someone wrote, oh, yeah, the 2014 Colts. I was like, the 2014 Colts had a mid-ranked defense and one of the easiest schedules in the league. Like that team, I think even like 10-year-old or however old, 12-year-old me was like, yeah, we're gonna have to get a lot better. Like, because we got our shit kicked by New England in the second half when the balls were inflated. And like we just weren't. I didn't think we were that good. Like, obviously we had a good offense, but what offensive pieces did we really have then? Our defense was so bad. They were not good when they needed to step up.
They couldn't tackle for shit.
Oh, they're so
That is so horrible.
so bad.
It was painful to
I
watch.
still have nightmares of rainy Foxborough.
I still have nightmares of Vanderjet.
I'm not I'm too young to remember that, but my dad tells me about it.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Like, okay, they're playing the Steelers. I think it was Bettis' last year. He coughs it up on the 1 yard line, gives Peyton Manning a chance, drives down, gets into field goal range, and I'm like, yeah, overtime, let's go. Shank the living fuck out of it, like just like as soon as it hit it, like he got a penalty because he threw his helmet off like in the middle of the play. Like everyone felt like that, like shanked the dog shit out of it. And that was his last year as a Colt. God damn. He was kicking like, and of course the announcers, oh, he's the most accurate kicker this year, 93% or whatever it was. I'm like, you're gonna jinx it. He's gonna shank this shit, and sure enough, like 20 yards wide. Damn it. And I think Peyton Manning even hated him, called him like a drunk.
That's the Colts. That's just like a perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So aggravating. But oh well. But yeah, I mean, okay, so what is today? The Thursday the 7th. So probably drop next Tuesday. I'm going on a kind of a honeymoon, whatever, so we're doing it a little bit early. So some of this information might be a little old. Something may have changed, but we do the best we can, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any other finishing thoughts, anything to wind up with.
I think I'm all good. This is a good first episode, and I'm really excited for to keep going. I will say I got a plug on Thursday of this week. It's not a guarantee, but on Thursday this week, we're most likely having a big guest from Pro Football Focus on Chaotically Intolerant. So go check that out on Thursday morning. For anyone wanting to listen, I'll probably mention the Colts at some point, because I have to. But yeah, go check that out.
But like you said, great first episode. It was great to have you here. Thanks for being a part of this. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And everybody else, again, smash the like and sub button on all of our channels. Just smash it.
Yeah,
smash
I think we'll tag them all in the description, so you guys don't have to do anything. You can just click a couple buttons.
Just click it and like it and sub. Just do us some favors, man. But yeah, we'll see y'all next time.
All right.
Be good people.